Hello everyone. You know what console doesn't really seem to get a lot of love these days? That's right, it's the Wii U. The Wii U came out in the mid-2010s, don't really know a better way of saying that, but it was Nintendo's flagship product for quite a few years, almost 5 of them if I remember correctly. And this console really lived a full life. It had 5 years worth of games that Nintendo released, and only about a year or two of other people releasing for it. I mean, it was a well-expected console, and when it wasn't that instant success that the Wii was, third-party publishers started walking away, and there were other reasons for that too, but Nintendo really stuck behind it and really pushed this product to be really its flagship product for that whole 5 years, at least until the Nintendo Switch came out. And I'm not here to speak about the failures or successes of the Wii U. What I'm here to talk about is really my experience with it up until this point in time. I bought one back in 2015. That was almost 3 years after the console launched. And as you can tell by my game collection over here, this is all of the games I own for it. I'm not really collecting for it either. So the question I'm asking myself is, what gives? Why are other consoles getting love and support and this thing is just sitting there collecting dust? Well, if you take a look at some of the titles here, they're all first-party Nintendo titles. So one of the things that I collected the Wii U for were those first-party titles I couldn't get on any other platform. By the time I collected the Wii U, most other titles that were produced by third parties I already owned on another platform, so I didn't want to recollect it again for the Wii U, at least for full price. But I have noticed that a lot of stores in my area have started to clearance out their Wii U games because, well, this console is done being produced, it's not backwards compatible on the Switch, the next generation of video games is coming out, and I think they're just wanting to clear off the store space. And this has been especially true of the used games at Gamestop. I've been seeing sales in my area of buy 4 for a certain price, no matter what the game is, because they just want to get them out of the stores. So this has actually prompted me to start collecting for this console, because I think this is about the prime time to do it. Interest in this console right now is maybe not at an all-time low, but it's pretty far down there. Demand for games are not very high. Plus, there are a lot of games that I don't own on the Switch that were released for the Wii U that are pretty much the same in terms of graphics and performance. Only the games themselves are a lot cheaper on the Wii U, and I already own that console, so I'm going to go ahead and head out and see what games I can get for this console. I am again just looking for the clearance deals, but I'm going to see how many of these titles I can collect for this console. So let's go ahead and head out and get started. You know, seeing the direction that this company is going, it's almost appropriate that I capture this time frame, as it doesn't appear that it will be around much longer, at least in its current form. As a person who conducts historical research for video games, it would be awesome to find video footage of somebody going through a video game store back in the 80s, so maybe 30 years from now someone will stumble upon my footage and be delighted as well. But even as close as the next year approaches, the Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One era is drawing to a close. And with each new era relying even more on having internal storage in your console and digital game downloads, the physical video game retail shop as it exists in the form that I grew up with is slowly looking like it's going to fade away. More and more I see shops like this starting to turn to merchandise and video game memorabilia and accessories rather than selling video games and consoles. And while that may not necessarily be a bad thing, it's just not something that I'm looking forward to because, you know, we fear change, right? I'm reminded of a line from Spaceballs, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made. I guess in this case it'd be video games. And yeah, even the PS3 and Xbox 360 sections which are still in these stores are most likely going to disappear and be clearanced out, as was the case with almost every other system prior to this, except for the Nintendo Wii. I think there's still a couple of Wii games around here somewhere. And one last question I have before we start on today's topic. What generation is the Nintendo Switch? Is it part of the PS4 generation, or is it part of the next generation with the PS5? I mean, technically speaking, the Wii U came out during the PS3's life cycle, but then again, so did the Wii. So I always considered the Wii U to be part of the generation with the PS4 and Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch was just the first of the next-gen consoles. But anyway, here we find the Wii titles that I was talking about earlier. I can't believe they still have these even 15 years after the Wii's release. It's also strange to me that there are more Wii titles here than Wii U titles by far. As again, as of the filming of this video, the Wii is 15 years old, and the Wii U is about 8 years old. And aside from some of the junk LEGO titles they have here, I'm not really seeing too much, although the new Super Mario Bros. U and Super Luigi U combination disc was something that caught my eye. I think I have both of them separately, but I don't think I have the compilation of both of them. And the second shelf has some interesting titles, but again, titles that I already own for the Wii U. I don't own that many, but it appears that I may already own the ones that I want. Well, with this store being a bust, let's go ahead and go across town to another store. And again, the Wii selection in this store is astonishing. They have more games than they did in the bigger store. And the same holds true with their Wii U titles. Scrolling through the selection, I actually noticed they had some regular Wii titles scrambled in here as well, but the first title that caught my eye was Assassin's Creed 3. As this title was under $5, I decided to go ahead and grab it. And here I actually took a look at the new Super Mario Bros. U and Super Luigi U, and this is an interesting note. Not all of these games came with an instruction booklet. Most of them came with some sort of insert, but this is when they started cheaping out on the paperwork they included in games, so not every one of them actually needs the insert. I'm not quite sure if this is one of them that had an instruction booklet or not, but I'm pretty sure it's still missing an insert of some sort. Your Shape Fitness Evolve 2013 was a launch title for the Wii U, but I don't think that makes it worth the price that they're asking for here. This is really more of a 99-cent title. LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens was an interesting proposition. If you look at the front, you can pay $9.99, but if you look at the back, you can pay $4.99. And Sonic Lost World looked intriguing as well. Not for the price they had it for here, it seemed a bit high for me, and I believe the bonus edition content was DLC only, so I'm not quite sure if that's still available. The rest of this stuff on the bottom shelf I already own, but if I didn't already own Super Smash Bros., I probably would have picked that up for $20. That wasn't a bad price for it. And if Tokyo Mirage Sessions had the case artwork, I would have grabbed that too. But for now, I guess I'll be moving on to another store. And it is at this store that is actually not a video game store that I run across some of this old nostalgic-driven recreation stuff. I'm assuming this stuff is left over from Black Friday when they were trying to market this stuff to people standing in the long lines waiting for the checkout in this store, because this seems like a kind of a quick money grab. But this is actually the first time I've seen one of these arcade one-up countertop machines. I haven't seen these heavily advertised, so I'm assuming this is something that, again, they were just trying to unload around Black Friday, and this is just what's left over. If I were to get one of these machines, it would be most likely to mod it so I can make my own little countertop arcade that didn't take up a lot of space. But since I have the space for the full-size machines, I'm going to go ahead and hold out till I can get another one of those. Oh yeah, and I like how it says it includes 2 games, Space Invaders and Space Invaders in Color. Wow, their definition of 2 games must be different from mine. And yeah, they have some consoles. Again, this is stuff I don't usually see in this kind of a store. This is more of a clothing and home goods store. I'm sure many of you have spent time waiting on someone in this store, like I was doing on this particular day. And you can most likely figure out which store it is. But since I'm not sponsored by this store, I'm going to go ahead and leave the name out. However, they did almost get me with this machine. I had never heard of it or seen anything like this before, and I was very curious just to get this game, just to try it out and showcase it on the channel, but the price point was not worth it to me. Maybe sometime if I find one of these way cheaper, I'll get one, but if any of you guys have any experience with this console, let me know in the comments, because I am still curious about this machine and if it's worth even trying out. Oh yeah, and on my way out I saw yet another little arcade recreation that looks kind of neat, but I think my big clumsy hands would not be able to handle the controls too well. So this is where things took a turn, quite literally. It actually scared the crap out of the person next to me in the car, but I took a sharp right turn into a store that, up until now, I hadn't really considered going here to collect retro games, or at least games that are on the way out, such as the Wii U games. So let's go ahead and see what I found in these stores. As this was an unexpected stop, I ended up not recording the games that I got out of here. Instead, I decided to show you that every gap on this shelf is a game that I collected. Most of these games were just arbitrarily labeled at $4.99 each and were being sold for quite a bargain for some of these games. And what's great about my purchase at this store is that they personally repair all of the discs that look damaged when you buy them, and you can return them and they can try to fix them later, or you'll get your money back. At another one of these stores, I found another bulk of games. Also, again, I'm amazed at all of the Wii titles that are still here. A lot of these were also labeled arbitrarily at $4.99 a piece, which means that they were a bit outside of my price range, but if they had a game or two that I was looking for the Wii, I decided to go ahead and pick it up as well, as long as I wasn't overpaying by paying $4.99 for the game. Moving back to this store's Wii U section, again it's a bit smaller, but they are all still $4.99, at least the ones that are on sale. I noticed they were selling Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 1 separately. I think I ended up getting those from this store. The next store had a lot of similar Wii U titles for sale that I had already picked up from one of the other stores. So this store didn't really offer me a huge Wii U find, but they were selling their Wii games for $1.99 each, or 2 for $3. And I went through this entire selection of games multiple times and picked up all of the ones I wanted. Think about it, these are full-fledged games, and for $1.50 a piece, I decided to go ahead and grab as many of them as I could. Halfway through, I thought that some of these games I may already own, but if I do, I will be donating them to my school's game club. And yeah, I didn't really care for this store's Wii U selection because most of them were arbitrarily labeled at $9.99 a piece, which is a bit much. Especially as these are games that aren't necessarily collectible, but ones that I'm missing in my Wii U collection, so I'm going to try to look for them, but I'm not going to pay $10 a piece for them. Interestingly, at this store, I found a bunch of 3DS titles they had for sale. Again, nothing special, but for $1.50 a piece, I decided to go ahead and grab the ones that were $1.50 because why not? I don't own a 3DS yet, but I figured I can give these titles a try for $1.50 a piece. And yes, while I was here, I decided to go ahead and start looking at some of the Xbox 360 games. Again, they were arbitrarily labeled at $4.99 a piece, but if it was worth it to me, I decided to go ahead and pick up a couple that I was missing out of my collection. One last stop in this area, and I found another selection of Wii U titles. Again, nothing I didn't already pick up in another store, so there wasn't much to pick up here. I also found the same was true for the Wii selection, but once I started paying $1.50 a game for the Wii titles, I decided not to go back to $4.99 for the rest of them. So yeah, that is about all I found in my area. So the next step I decided to do was go ahead and order some games online. Actually, by ordering games online, I would get access to more games than I could find in my area. But there is a problem with this. I found out through one of the employees of these stores that if I order games online, most likely, if it is in stock in a store near you, they'll actually ship you the game that is in that store. And I knew that any of the games that were in stock in my area did not have the artwork and manual with it, so I ended up getting those anyway. This is just one of the examples, but I'm pretty sure this is the same game that was in stock that I passed on at the first GameStop I went to because it didn't have the artwork in it. And even though the disc was in good shape, and I got a very good deal on this because it was buy 3, get so much % off, I don't think that since this game is readily available with the artwork right now that I should settle for something less. So I decided to go ahead and return them, and this is how that process went. A nice thing about returning things that you order online from this franchise is that you can actually just take it to the local store that is closest to you. I decided to go ahead and roll out here. These are the games that I got that I decided to return. I actually ended up getting a lot more than this, but these are the games that didn't have the artwork. The cases were very generic or they were damaged, so I decided to go ahead and return them and see if I can find them with the case and artwork somewhere else. And surprisingly, the process was very painless. The cashiers at this store were very gracious. They actually went in the back and checked around other stores in the area to see if they could find them with the artwork to get them exchanged, and any of them where they couldn't do that, they refunded me right on the spot. So it actually wasn't too bad. I was expecting something more along the lines of, did you like the product? Oh, it just didn't come with a case. Are you sure you can't live without it? It was a very easy process of just returning it to the store, and they were very kind. I can't say enough about it, so good on you, GameStop. That was actually very well done. I would definitely order more games from them again, now that I know I can return them if I don't like the product. But here's where the story takes yet another turn. I kind of called this trip the game collecting Wii U frenzy, because I collected a lot of games on this trip, But right now, I don't think we've really hit frenzy-leveled collecting. And just a little spoiler alert for the next part in this series, because yes, I am going to have to split it off because this video is already a bit longer than my normal retro game hunting videos. And in the next part, you're going to see that I collected a lot more. So stay tuned for the next part in this series. As always, if you like this video, please remember to hit that like button, leave a comment below, let me know what you liked about today's video, let me know what you'd like to see in the future. That'll about wrap it up for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. If you like this video and you'd like to help out with future projects on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Also, if you enjoy the content of this channel, please remember to click on this subscribe button. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.